of the India Oracle Apex user group. Please remember to register as many sessions, and this way you would be able to have access to all the replays until April 20. I would like to say thanks to all Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, the Oracle ACE community, the DevRel team, and our main sponsors, Oracle Corporation and CloudDB. Now for today's session, the role-based authentication and authorization solutions for Oracle Apex-based applications by Siyovosh Kaviani. So feel free to write your questions anytime in the chat window, and we'll be answering the questions at the end of the sessions. And any problem during that, you can also feel free to type in the chat window. This is going to be a workshop session, and for all the workshops, all emails of the people who have registered or whitelisted within Oracle to allow them to access the Oracle Cloud free trial without requiring a credit card and with extra options. Note the emails what whitelisted or the emails the users used to register for the event. So now, without any more delays, I would like to leave you with this amazing session by Siyovosh. Over to you, Sio.
Hello, everyone. This is Siyovosh speaking. I want to present some solutions about the Oracle Apple's application that related to the rule-based and access control of the users in the some application that we have lack in the Apex Oracle Apex IDE. So when we're talking about the rules in our imagination, some things grew up about the securities. The securities issue, our speakers is me, Siyovosh Kaviani, and Sahan Jabbari. He's my colleague. I suppose that I know him from since 2010. He was my student in the University of the Tabriz. So he was a nice student, and just now he's a very smart expert in the oracles. Our agenda about the rule-based authentication and authorization solution is a security study for the first step. In the second headline, we have a foreword about the Apex securities and the features. Third headline is about the main part of the security features at the authentication, and after then authorization. And we're talking about the tamper-proofing features in the Oracle Apex IDE. And at the end, we present our solution for the Oracle Apex. We show you our solution. We have a primarily application, and we have a customized and the commercial application for access control of the users. If we want to talking about the security, we have to know security is a process, is not an event. So you need to have a permanent activity for keeping your securities. Security is permanent and continuously processed, not an event. For example, if you have a nice and excellent security features, you install a nice security features for your application, you don't go to sleeping. You need to watching your applications and your conditions of the users and your hackers, and study the reports and watching all of the issue that related to your security issues. I'm sure that all of the IDE have a lot of problem with the security. And for this case, all of the producer of the IDE give the new version for best reaction against the security cases. So hacker will never stop trying to attack to your sites. So you should not stop protecting your website or web application either. Security at the first step, we are a developer. All of us is developer. All of us is DBA. All of us is system administrators. So we know very well the life cycle of the user requirement. We know very well what is the user requirement analysis. We know very well what is the conceptual design, detailed design. First step for security must be started in the conceptual design, and when you want to design your process modeling. This is most important issue that we need, and we have to mention to it when we want to design our application. Security is based on to external area and internal area. Internal area, it means our applications and our users and our clients in our organization, in our business area, and external systems either come from the another application that want to make a combination with our process of our applications. But our main aims is a Apex security in this presentation. I am the lover of the Oracle, and since 1992 I started with Oracle when I was in Australia after my education in the Queensland University. So we started with the Oracle with a Form 3 and Oracle 6 database. It's a version of 6th version of the Oracle in the database, and I using the Oracle case, computer-aided software engineering. It was very hard for me to explain for you what was our problem, what was our hardness in working with the Oracle. But in this last 30 years, Oracle give us nice IDE tools like Developer 2000, and just now we encountered to the Apex. It's a nice IDE for the developers. In our forward, in the security perspective, Apex application is like other web IDE, like PHP, like ASP.NET, like Java, and we have a same vulnerability against the security. Cross-site scripting attack with SQL injection are among the most common of this vulnerability. You know that we have a ground organization in the world that they working over the 10 main vulnerability. That organization called OWASP. I have a lot of paper about this organization, and I give the lot of order how you can keep your web application against of the main vulnerability of the securities in your application. But do not forget, we want to we don't want to hide our application against the other applications. We want to make a combination. So we need to have a secure and proper coding. Other potential vulnerabilities such as access control and item protection can easily protect by defining and implementing a standard APEX structure. In this presentation, we try to give you at the first the good perspective about the security features of the APEX. Therefore, the security of APEX application is by no means less secure than the .NET or Java application or other IDE. They are the same, but we want to explain how and when newcomers using the Oracle APEX IDE, how they can improve their securities application. APEX normally offers several features to improve the application security. In this photo, oh, that's not very good. I suppose that it's better than. You know that usually I use the ORDS because the web services and RESTful web services is a nice method to keep our securities. But maybe some of the programmer and developer and designer want to use the SQL and PLSQL. This is very normal. So type of access control is the main aims of the Oracle APEX IDE. So we have authentication and authorization for type access control. But it's very important to know about the tamper-proofing interface. How we can make it tamper-proofing. What is the tamper-proofing? In the next pages, I will be explaining about the tamper-proofing. But tamper-proofing, in the main simple definition of the tamper-proofing is we want to give some method against the hacker, against the, for example, brute force attack, and make a nice demilitarized zone against the attacking to our systems. For example, pages, item, and query injection and cross-site scripting is the main features that we can control our security in APEX IDE. At the first, we need to talking about the three main functionality, three main process that we need to have it to improve our security in APEX. The first of them is a security in our instance. Second one is the setting of the security in our workspace. And the third one is a security in our application. We have only three main items in security: authentication, authorization, and tamper-proofing. But just now, we want talking only about the authentication features in the APEX. In APEX, an authentication is an event to set credential for the user. Usually, the device is authenticated by username and password and return authentication schema response. So this answer is very Boolean, is Boolean answer. And if we look at this picture, Authentication means someone want to log into our system. Authentication determine who is he or who is she. And in authorization, we determine what you can do. So in feedback, we send for the users what permission do you have? It's very simple. This is authorization. What about tamper-proofing? In the next slide, I will show you how we will do it. So, from a technical point of view, how Apex respond is irrelevant. It's not important for us how to Apex do it. It's usually based on a combination of the username and password control. It could be something as a simple guessing my number. In out-of-box modification, Apex can use the following features. Authenticate scam. It depends to Apex users, database users. You know that very well. The Apex user is different to database users. I suppose that all of the IDEs support these features, but database HTTP header variable and LDAP. We have a special LDAP for Oracle. You know that LDAP is a general issue in the security, but it is not an active directory. We need to know LDAP is not an active directory. LDAP is another protocol. But Oracle have a special LDAP for their solution like Apex. OpenDoor and Oracle application single sign-on. This is a nice feature for the Oracle client to keep for administration to keep their security in a nice mood. And now we can add a custom scheme, and we try to use this add custom scheme for developing a solution. In our solution, we use this feature. But in authentication, one of the main features is unauthentication user. What's the meaning of the unauthentication user? When unauthenticated users try to access to restricted page in Apex application, we can redirect him to the public pages. It's very normal. Public pages don't need to have right access. But is it correct way to give them this access without any control? No. The right answer is no. Anonymous user can access the public page directly, but it's better to put a user with anonymous, and we need to keep all of the information like IP, like other specification that we can study in our reports. Where is this anonymous users and want to access to our systems? But in the main reason, in the main methods, all of the anonymous users can go to the public pages. It's very normal. Restricted pages is not to the anonymous. Session not valid is another feature of the authentication of Apex. Session not valid, it means each authentication scheme can direct or redirect credential to the one of the following three sections: login page, built-in login page, or general or public URL. we need to or we have to control the all of the users by this session not valid. User credential, it's another feature of the Apex. Unknown user immediately enter for invalidation in several sections. We need to determine them. Who are them? Who are from? So we need to guide them to the login page. For our report, for our controls, for our better controls, not our only controls, we need to have an invalid credential because we need them to support our securities area. This is not a demilitarized zone. This is related directly to our applications. Invalid credential, it means when some unauthorized client or users want to log into our system, must be registered at the first step. Apex can make waiting time setting before the next login. If he try to use the some password to find our weakness of our application weakness in the security, at the first time or second time or third time, we can use this feature to give them, you cannot enter and send a message for him. You cannot enter up to 10 minutes. Some authentication scheme only 3 or 2 or 1 times failed attempt. And after then, we can lock their IP address or user is blocked. Workspace level setting give this feature for us, and we can control this in our application, in our solutions. We have another feature, it calls Authentication Session. Authentication Session means we have some restricted pages, login page, and public page. When authenticated users, a unique session ID is created and assigned to the user and application. Okay, it's very nice. The program refers to app session. So Apex give us an app session. The session cookies is placed somewhere on the clients. So we can, in the tamper-proofing, we control the cookies, and here we placed the cookies for the client. It's very nice feature in the Apex that we can control the users with the special cookies. A group of the users or client of our application can access to the special cookies for this session. Session management. If we're looking here, we have in our browser, we have an address, and in the end of this address, you can see a ID of this session. So browser session cookies must be identified by IDE, and we can use it in our protection, in our securities. And this feature is very nice to give us opportunity to control this. And duration. Session management, it means we want to control to cookies and assign the cookies to the clients. But duration, it means what you want to do when you want to coming in our application. Unscheduled user session will be valid when one of the following happens: logout occur, or click on the logout option, or close your browser. Because maybe I don't know, some of the clients close their browser without logout. We need to control them. This is the main reason of the good. This is a good this is a good point for attacking, because a user is logging just now, but he didn't close his session. So if he closed his browsers or her browsers, we need to send a checksum for the security application. User manipulation of URLs and others that part of the session ID. The session is coming to an end. The session is idle. Here is another point to attacking: idle session. When Oracle Apex purge session is running, we can need some features to control the purge session. These features can give us to control this part of the vulnerability. User alert or delete session cookies. Maybe users want to remove or delete session cookies from his browser. So we need to control, and we need a feature to control it. This feature in the duration give a good point for keeping our security. Apex workspace admin manually deleted session. Maybe we need to for against a very severe attack, we need to delete session. So with this feature, workspace admin or Apex can delete the manually can delete the session. Another feature in this authentication is a session state. Session state means we want to protect our session against another session. So you cannot enable this, because this behavior is by default. It's very important. Session state is by default behavior of the Apex. Report features if you want to trying to log in, show us all of the login. How we can setting this? You can go to administration, monitor activities, and login attempt. You can see this without any application directly in the Oracle Apex menu. You can use this report and watch all of the login attempts. And in the login attempt, we have a lot of information about the logins. Where are them? When end of their session, and what is their IP, their ID, and general information about the users. Session state. In the report, we have another feature. It's called session state. In this feature, view all user activities and another session status. Maybe at the main time, in the web application, you know that we can have a lot of session in the one application. So if you want to see all of the activities of one users on one client, or another session status, you need to setting your administration in the menu go to the administration, monitor activity, and active sessions. The first step of the security has been ended. Authentication. Just now, we want to talking about authorization. Authorization, it means what is your permission and what is your rules in our application. In Apex, we have an authorization scheme that can show us the authorization that it is very simple. You can log in the login. We give you the rules, and each rules contains of the sum of permission. It's very, very easy. All of the answer is Boolean. And you can derive and use the following part. SQL query in the authorization scheme. You can control the SQL query, PL/SQL function, and item value comparison and preference value comparison. Another feature in the authorization is association. All of our scans can be used with any component. Component in our vocabulary means forms with your process, which you can make a form. This form with the Apex, and this form in designer and developer and admin vocabulary means component. So, association is a plan, can be used with any component in any application, page, report, and columns, and anywhere of our application. A good template is to create a gatekeeper plan for each application. We need a gatekeeper. Here is authorization is our demilitarized zone. What's the meaning of demilitarized zone? When user after logging enter to our area, enter to our architecture, we put a demilitarized zone and we decompose all of the part of the clients or users with the rules, with the permissions. So this is a good feature to make a gatekeeper for each application. It's very important for each application, not totally to all of application. This type of schema depends to our each application and is used to authorize user. So authorization scheme and association is a nice features of the Apex, can control all demilitarized zone. We have another features that's called integration. At the Apex, the API that allow you to easily integrate it to rule of external users with the Apex authorization scheme. Who is the external users? In some of organization, we have, maybe we need to have a application that related to external users, like a online shop, like online services, or for example, in some of the ERP and some of the business application that need external users. So integration needs the LDAP. We know that LDAP is a lightweight directory access protocol. But as I said before, Apex have a LDAP for design and present and feature, LDAP for Apex. So LDAP is not an Active Directory, and it is very important to know in LDAP we can support all of the access directory, and it's good protocol to for decompose the users in the demilitarism. So Apex have a LDAP. It can use the LDAP, generally LDAP. Apex LDAP is member, Apex user, and Apex utility get group user belong to. We have nice 3 features in the integration. But in efficiency, for authorization access, efficiency is a main activity, is a main feature that we need to support for each session and for each page view. So authorization scheme can be evaluated in 2 different way. For each session, this plan will be evaluated immediately. You have a successful login after a successful login, and will determined as a fixed answer during the duration of the session. It's very simple. Immediately after successful login started, this feature started after successful login. Maximum effectiveness and minimum execution time. That's right. It's a good feature. We can control the minimum execution time for them. I don't want to talk about the SEO, but it's a good feature to raising up our search engine optimization and give a nice ranking from the Google and another search engine. For each page view, so authorization scheme for each page view, it means this plan is evaluated immediately. It's a display and answer can be changed during the session. Minimum effectiveness and maximum execution time. The reverse of the above features. In the search engine result page, these features give us a nice opportunity to raise up our ranking to using these features. Reports. Another needs of the authorization access is reports. Reports is very important. The main reason is assign all pages or all components as a group. You can use this guide application. You can go to the menu, application utilities, cross-page utilities, grid edit of all pages. Second part of this assign all pages as a group is an authorization schema use. It's very simple. Display our component whose authorization scheme are quantified. Shared component, authorization scheme, and utilization. This is the root of the menu to use this feature. Best practice. You know that user related to rules and the rules related to permission, and permission have a grant or deny for each rules. So we're only talking about the rules. all of the permission is depend to our definition in the system administration user access administration tools. So add authorization scheme at the page level and work as follows. Establish security for navigation, tab, list, button, etc. We will show you in our application in following of our presentation about this case. In short, the page should not be simple in terms of security because the user can easily access and page via URL. The second part of this features is use the same federated model of access management for all application and workspace instead of having it separately on each application. So with this best practice, we can design a nice rule and use this rule for other applications and use this scheme for other applications. This is repeatable. Introducing hybrid approaches to LDAP authentication and table-based authentication. So, as I said about the LDAP authentication, LDAP is not Active Directory, and table-based authentication. It means and show this is the LDAP is not an Active Directory. It's a lightweight directory access protocol only. Up to now, we're talking about the authentication and authorization access, but the main things that we can never forget it is a tamper-proofing. What is the tamper-proofing? At the first, you know that tamper-proofing is a methodology that is not a techniques, but contains a lot of techniques. Tamper-proofing conceptually is a method or methodology used by the handler delete or detect unauthorized access to a device or an application, and so it's a main part and concept of the security systems. So tamper-proofing is not only belong to our application, maybe it belong to our devices. So we need to have enough knowledge to control this tamper-proofing. All of the experts, when talking about tamper-proofing, thinking about imagining their thinking, tamper-proofing is something for hiding our application. No. This is good method for obfuscation and check some our systems or applications. We don't want to present a ready piece of cake for a hacker. So tamper-proofing hide our codes, not hide, mixed it, made complicated it, make it unreadable. So when software has been made tamper-proof, it is protected against reverse engineering and modification. Tamper-proofing is a combination of many techniques. So tamper-proofing contains a large of elements of obfuscation. Obfuscated software cannot be understood by the human. Oh, nice. It's a nice idea for all of the developer, for all of the programmer, for all of the designer, for all of the administrator. The way a reverse engineering break obfuscate software is well known. The attacker changes one bit and observe the consequence of the change. He keeps doing this until the software is understood. But tamper-proofing prevents this attack and obfuscated your application. Against reverse engineering and against the hacker for 10 vulnerability of the OSASP organization. Tamper-proofing is more than encryption. Encryption is the simple solution to hide our code, but tamper-proofing is more than encryption. Encryption is very useful and necessary, I know, but encrypted software needs to be decrypted first before an attacker know what it does. So all of the hackers know know how to decrypt the code. But tamper-proofing uses a lot of encryption, but add an extra element. It hides how to decryption works or what encryption key is used. So tamper-proofing make our codes and our design and our process modeling against the hacker. It's not a simple encryption. Tamper-proofing contains the element of the checksum and the hash code. Nice. These are necessary to detect changes in the protected code. Tamper-proofing also helps hiding the checksum and the hash codes. So we need a lot of technology in the tamper-proofing. I suppose that tamper-proofing, because I have experience in the Java, but I don't have any experience in the .NET. I cannot develop my idea for .NET. But in again Apex in versus to Java, have a nice techniques for tamper-proofing. Tamper-proofing techniques at the first, all of us know very well the viruses. Tamper-proofing compared to virus checking. This is a first technology that we're using in the tamper-proofing. Another technique is a tamper-proofing compared to license checking. It's very nice. License checking is a function within a program which verify condition for using the program. License checking software usually use a tamper-proofing internally. So with the tamper-proofing in our application, we can present a stamp of the licensing. This licensing, not a international or legally licensing, but it's a private licensing for us and for our users and clients. Another technology that we using in the tamper-proofing is a tamper-proofing compared to copy protection. Another technology that we use in the tamper-proofing is compared to trusted hardware module. You know that SQLnet putting himself after the 3 level of the networks layers in the LAN or in the IP protocols. So tamper-proofing can working for us for Apex to identify and determine how the IP want to attack to him. Tamper-proofing compared to firewall. Oh, nice. Tamper-proofing can give us a solution for the military zone also. So, in any system or web application, there is an issue of manipulation and changes. This is simple. I suppose that this is simple definition of the tamper-proofing is this. In any system or web application, there is the issue of manipulation and change. Malicious users try to exploit the weakness of your Apex application in different ways. This different way is page attribute, URL manipulation, URL tampering, SQL injection, and execution to a script on the site, cross-site scripting. Fortunately, we can measure some attacks that related to tamper-proofing in the Apex. The tamper-proofing feature in the Apex, we want to explain about them. Each page has a variety of the feature that can enhance security. You can enhance your security level. Depending on your work's rules, you may want to select low security. Page security in the attribute, for example, select the page type public. This is one of the low security option that we can choose it for some public pages. Authorization. So we have some authorization feature for tamper-proofing, and all of in this feature, on each page you can select authorization scheme that are related to same page. It means authorization scheme should return true value for user who can watch the page. The best choice is to set the authorization scheme at all session level. In this case, you can see the change for each login and logout. Authorization scheme is no. It's set by default. So, if you want to have a nice authorization, you need to obey this feature. For best authentication, there are two ways to authenticate each page. The page needs the authentication. You must log in to view the page. Authorization scheme build option and should also consider the page is public. Any user can view this page. Authorization scheme and build option should also be considered. I want to show you something about the page access protection, because our time is limited. We need to manage these times with the main features of the tamper-proofing. Page access protection is one of the most important feature that we need to use it, that we have to use it for best against the tampering on our application. When you enable the SSP and the PAP, SSP must be enable your PAP per page in your application. In the PAP, you need to choose unrestricted. By default, the security level is low. Argument must have checksum. No argument allows, and no URL access. You need to choose one of them. PAP level alert. What is the PAP level alert? You can setting all these level are not always enough, because you can guide the users, you can guide the session, not the users. In this tamper-proofing, we need to talking about the session. You have a session and direct you to the page 1, and after that you can go to page 2. So if you another session by another cookies, you cannot directly go to the page 2. This is a page access protection. The main aims of the tamper proofing is this. Item protection is one of the main important to tamper proofing. Item protection, it means limit how to item can be entered. We have this option unrestricted. By default, the security is low. Checksum required related to application. Checksum required related to user. Checksum required related to session. Restricted may not be set from a browser. And when you want to restrict some things, you can send some cookies, but maybe your cookies doesn't accept this restricted. But with this feature, you can setting the restricted that not adjusted by browser. Look at this picture. We have a session. Our session send out to page 1, and after this page 1, send us to the item protected that not related to this session. So return back error. And same as the last pictures, directly this session cannot go to this page 2. We can talking about the hide items and the hide item protection. All of them is necessary, but necessary to talk about them. But we have not enough time to explain about them. We want to talking about our solutions. What is the main problem in Apex? This part of this presentation prepared by the Sahand, my colleague. One of the biggest problems for newcomers to Oracle Apex is the lack of a system for assigning rules and accessing application items. Is it believable? Sahand give us some reason for this. Also, with a little searching in the discussion forum, you can see the problems of user in this area. Okay? At the Apex, we can create a pre-opportunity system for managing access users. As in ASP.NET application, for example, the identity system is proof that the user can personalize it. customized it. What is the reason of this? I don't know, but this search show us the evidence of the last pages. Roll-level, look at here, roll-level permission. They have a bundle application to roll-level. Microsoft extension identity core. Look at here. Totally 105.6 million person downloaded. So good idea that all of the newcomers in Apex need this application. Yes, they know very well what is the application. They know very well what is the user requirement. They know very well what is the conceptual design, what is the detailed design, what is the implementation. But at the end, they need some application, they need some plugin, they need some additive or bundle application with Apex to support them with this case. 100 million downloaded, and per day average near the 60,000 download. It's very high. We don't have it in Apex. We want to present it an idea. Sahan talking about what is the rule-based access control. Rule-based access control have a definition. In our presentation, we give you this definition and we show you the main research paper that published by some experts, and you can see the link in this slide. So you can go there and talking about and study this white paper. It's very nice, but we need to clear that we have three main activity in each rule-based access control systems. First, rule assignment. 2, rule authorization. 3, transaction authorization. In rule assignment, subjects are assigned to the rules and only allow transaction if allowed by the defined user rule. Rule authorization means subject only use rule for which they are authorized. So in transaction authorization, subject only execute transactions authorized by the subject's rules membership. We present here, we want to present our very simple application solutions. Our solutions, here is something's diagram like the FHD or something like the DFD, data flow diagram, or function hierarchical diagram. We have a 4 process: create user, create rule, rule claims, and assign rules to users. We have 4 main process. Very simple process, very simple function. And and we have a 6 data store. User used password here. User logins, this is one of our reports. User rules and rules claim, and users and the user rules. All of them is our entity, our data store. And Who is the owner of this application? Administrator. We illustrated in this slide our ERD and our object and our entity is very simple, as you can see. And I don't want to explain about this ERD, but it's very nice idea for you to use our application. For create application items, we can session a branch ID. In our application, we test our application for a CRM, and in the CRM we have a lot of branch in our company, and so this is the name of the branch, is the table of the name of the branch, and this is the code to function for hash password with a key. Create custom authentication with function, login, and set session. Very simple code. All controls is here. You can see a view, and in this view we fetch application, all pages, region, menu, items, button, and the column. And all controls we select from these features that we explained it before in our presentation. Create a role. This is a simple form for a create a role. And all controls show as a tree and set rule claim. It's very simple. And create user. You can, with this form, with this component, you can create your user. It's very simple. Username, password, first name, last name. This is a general information about mobile. Is he domain admin or not? And another specification that we need or we can add to this application, and we show your customized application in the near future. Assign to rule, user rules. I need to explain some things for you. Oh, here. In this application, we want to show you how we can start it from a primarily version and reach to the customized and the commercial version. You can find our two versions of our application. It's the primary user management app and access level with these users and these users also for customizing the commercial application. And at the end, there is no need to introduce ourselves, but Kesra Scientific Research Association is a great association to research about all of the solution that related to the knowledge. And especially we work on the web app, and if you need some assistance, we are ready to help you. We can, just now, we are ready to give you our application for most best effort of your trying for developing and customize it for your organization. But please. Okay. Here is our primarily version. Our primarily version is like this. I don't know why it didn't working, but I'm trying on the okay. In the backstage, send me a message for refresh this page. Okay, I'll return back to the here. Okay. And this is a customized and commercial application. Okay. This is a simple application, and this is a menu. Menu can define the users, role list, products, customers, order list, change the password, user login, branch list, and change the branch. As I said, this application working and testing on the CRM application. Change the branch is a special feature for the target business area, and this one is a more complicated. We supported a lot of workspaces in this application. This current workspace is ADP user 7, and we have a 20 application with the 4 developers, and all pages is 100. Pardon me, it's 1113 components that we supported in this, and our menu is a little bit different. We can support you with this application, and you can customize it with this application. And if you want to follow us, this is our pages that related to this presentation. I put all of this presentation in the slide share, and you are welcome to using our applications. We gave you our username and password, and you can working with them. And if you have a question, feel free to ask to us with the email, and we are ready to respond to your question. My presentation is finished just now. I hope have a time for answering your question. Richard, I'm ready to go for asking the question. If someone have a question, I'm ready to talk about and answer about it.
Okay. So, Shivash, as of now, there are no questions. Okay, so if there are no questions, maybe we can wind up the session. Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you, Shivash, for your valuable presentation and your time. And thanks everyone for your participation today. And please do not forget to register for other great sessions and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and I hope to have a positive response and feedback from you in my email. Thanks, Richard. Thank Francisco. Maybe he's not here, but
Yeah.
I need to say the thanks to all of your assistants to me to present this slides. Many thanks to all of all of your patience against my presentation. Bye-bye.
Bye.